All right. Hey, everybody. Stu Smith here, going live with just a Q&A. But I am going to kind of discuss a few things if you have them. You guys probably aren't doing a whole lot if you're stuck in the house. Try to do some calisthenics. Maybe you got a weight set. You're pretty solid if you do. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, man. I don't want to get too much into it because probably the last thing you need to hear from a fitness guy is medical advice on a virus. So best thing is just don't get sick and don't spread it, because last thing I want is pneumonia. That has set me back for 6 months. That sucks. So, all right, let's see. So some of you guys are bored, maybe. So here's what I got. Start asking questions whenever you want. I am did my own little version of social distancing today. At 6 a.m., we decided to do a run, hill day, which is just takes 2 miles just to get to the hill. Then the hill's a half mile down and up, big ass hill, and ran that for a while and then ran back. So 5-6 mile run, 6 a.m. in the rain. That's our own version of social distancing because no one showed up except for 3 or 4 people. So that was fun. That's a way to do it. Get out if you can. I mean, there's some places around the world and United States where you're kind of stuck in the house, which haven't gotten that bad yet here in Maryland, but good Lord, hope that doesn't happen. All right, so I'm not going to worry about it. All I can do is worry about today, and I'm going to take questions. So I got a few questions. Actually, I'm on live here on Instagram, and I'm also going live on YouTube at the same time. So if those of you who are on Instagram and you missed this, you can go over to YouTube and watch it in full over there. So let's see. So here's a classic question, and it's not a stupid one. What do you do when you're trying to get better at swimming, but you can't swim? Yes, our swimming pools are closed also. Really sucks. I miss it. But Friday, I found out that our pool was closing on Monday. So I swam my ass off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I wouldn't miss it this week. And I already miss it. So that didn't work. But I swam probably about 11,000 yards between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'd at least wouldn't miss being wet for a while. But by Thursday, definitely need to get back in the water. Here's what I do. I would suggest doing all the muscle groups that swimming entails. Lightweight shoulder workout. That's a classic one that works the shoulders. Pull-ups, right? So you're pulling yourself. Plank poses, because there's a lot of core activity going on whenever you're doing that. Maybe even mix in some right arm, left leg movements off the plank. Swimmers, laying on your belly and doing little flutter kicks. Laying on your back and doing flutter kicks. That's a good one. Get your pants wet or put on a pair of fins and do flutter kicks. That'll work the hip flexors a little more. That's what I would do. And run and or bike. So you got to get a little extra cardio in. So for instance, if you're doing one of my workouts and you've already run, you've done your PT, and now it's a swim session after that, what I would do is take however long it takes you to swim 500 yards. Let's say 10 minutes. Just make it 10 minutes. And then for every 500 yards of swimming, you owe 10 minutes worth of some other form of cardio, whether that's running, maybe on a leg day, run up and down a hill, So if there's a 1,500-yard swim, you owe 30 minutes of cardio in a variety of methods. You can do non-impact option with bike, elliptical, rowing, or run, right? You can do sprints, you can do intervals, you could do hill day, especially if it's on a leg day and you're missing out on a fin swim. But yeah, good to go. So let me take a couple more questions. Yes, I did see Johnny Kim on Jocko the other day. He mentioned using one of my programs. This is the program he mentioned. Mentioned this one, Complete Guide to Navy SEAL Fitness. It's a classic, old school, but it works. So I see a lot of people, I don't know, bitching at each other for some reason on my Instagram. I'll just block you. How's that? So quit bitching at each other. You're wasting my time because now I got to scroll through your stupidness. All right. So, all right. Let's see. Thank you. We'll keep up the good work. So I'm taking some questions here on YouTube. Let's see here. Yeah, quarantine workouts gonna suck. You got to do something though. If you can't run outside, get a jump rope. If you can, find some steps, run up and down the steps. If you can find a cardio machine, I would recommend it and put it in your house somehow. Bike, treadmill, something. If you feel it's coming, get some form of cardio in there because it sucks not being able to do cardio and all you're going to do is calisthenics. Try to get some weights if you can, whether it's just dumbbells. A TRX is a godsend. If you can get a TRX mailed to you, highly recommend that because you can do just about everything you need to do with a TRX. And there's some great videos up on YouTube. Just search TRX exercises and you'll see some very challenging stuff. Talk about a core workout. That really works. Recovery or continue to pre-soft program during this time? Yeah, that's a good question. You know what? If you've been busting it really hard, take it easy. You're probably going to have to take it easy anyway. Take it easy. Absolutely. Don't go crazy with the calisthenics. Just because you can't do other stuff doesn't mean you need to do 1,000 push-ups a day, right? Or 500 pull-ups, something crazy like that. That's just going to wind up causing some tendonitis, and you're going to have to rest anyway. Be smart about it. I would do PT pyramids. I would do supersets. I'd do Murphs. Those are great workouts to do. And if you can't run a mile around your neighborhood, then get some other form of cardio or whatever it takes you to do a mile, then run up and down a flight of steps for that long or do jumping jacks that long. Yeah, whatever you have to do, you got to do it. Last thing you want to do is get completely out of shape and do nothing. But if you need to recover, take a few easy days and recover. Take some naps. That's probably going to be your best recovery tool right there. It's just napping. And then if you can, try to work from home. Hope you can earn some money while you're at home. It's kind of tough if you have a manual labor job, but maybe if you work outside, it's a little bit different. Maybe you don't have to not go to work. It's tough, man. You got to get creative. That's the biggest thing is you just got to get creative with your time and make it productive and follow the rules of physiology. The last thing you want to do is push-ups and pull-ups every single day for a month. mix in a upper body, lower body split. So you do hardcore upper body, go with legs the next day. Hardcore upper body, go with legs the next day. All right, so here's a question. What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting for the tactical athlete? Good idea, or a missing time protein digestion? If you need to lose weight, it is a way to lose weight. Is it the best way to lose weight? I don't know. But anytime you're restricting your calorie intake, you're going to lose weight. Is it going to help you with performance? I don't know. I mean, if you eat well before you work out and then you don't eat afterwards, yeah, you are missing out on some, replenishing the muscles with protein and glycogen. But there's no like 30-minute window. That 30-minute window is really more like a barn door. And you have more time than 30 minutes. So I wouldn't sweat it if you are not necessarily eating immediately after you train. Like I said, figure out a way to restrict calories. You can do that by smaller portions. You can do that by not eating certain food groups. I don't recommend that. Or you just be disciplined and eat healthy and not too much. But it depends. If you're trying to gain weight, intermittent fasting is not the way to do it. You need to be doing just the opposite. You need to be eating all the damn time. The seafood diet. SEE. Eat it. Get some calories in you. Because it takes a lot of calories to burn a pound. 4,000 calories to burn a pound in surplus. You can't do that in a day. It's almost impossible. So, over the course of a week, if you add in, 500 extra calories a day, you might gain close to a pound in a week. So there's some complications to some of that too. It's not as simple as that, but that's about as much as I feel like breaking it down. What are your thoughts on decision making? I've always worried I'll make the wrong decision when it comes to choosing a path in life. That's a great question, David. I always did this. I've always had a few options throughout my life, whether it was out of high school, out of college, post-military professions. Always had like several branches I could go. I think you're lucky if you have several branches, right? You can go left, middle, right, whatever, road that takes you on that journey. If you weren't meant to be on that journey, it has a way of bringing you back to one of the others. That's just life. So I wouldn't get too hung up in it on which road you take, as long as all three kind of lead to, your personal growth. I think you can't go wrong. A lot of people can, consider go officer or enlisted, college, no college. There are tough options. There's the good news is that you can get all of those. It just may not be in a normal timeline. So whether you put off college till later or you get it done early, if you have the means, my recommendation is just get it over with. Get it over with while you're young, because it gets a little harder whenever you're 28, 30 years old and you have a family and got a job and you're going to school at night. So it gets a little more difficult as you have more responsibilities. The younger you are doing that, you can use it as growth time as well as great resources to train for whatever you want to do a few years later. But I wouldn't sweat it too much. The best thing I would recommend right now, if you're making decisions of your future, is just do really well and as much as you can, so you have a ton of options. And the more options, the better. Whether that is multiple colleges to go to or different scholarships you get, different choices in the military that you apply for and you qualify for. All of those are logical decisions that we all have to make. A lot of people that I talk to in their 30s regret not serving when they were younger. And, I have guys that are 31 years old going to buds too with an age waiver. So, just because you didn't do it at 18 doesn't mean it's not an answer. So, good question though. Sorry, it's not really my strength talking about those things, but just speaking from my own experiences, that's what I always tried to do. Let's see. One thing focusing on. Sorry, my phone's right here, and it's taking up space for the where I'm reading on YouTube. Should I swim in a 25-meter pool or a 50-meter pool to practice for the PST? Well, if you can find a pool open right now, swim in whatever you got. Right now, most pools are closed in the United States, probably in the world. It doesn't matter. I mean, I live about a half a mile from a 25-yard pool. If there was a 50-meter pool or a 50-yard pool 10 miles away, I would still swim in the 25-yard pool that is a half a mile away. Whatever's convenient, swim in it is my recommendation. It doesn't matter. You're going to swim in a 50-meter pool. You're going to swim in a 25-meter pool. May swim in a 50-yard pool. May swim in a 25-yard pool. Doesn't matter. You're still going to have to swim 25 yards or 50 yards for a test. Doesn't matter how you get there, whether you do it with 9 laps or 19 laps or 20 lengths. Doesn't matter. Okay. Let's see here. I was supposed to ship in March. Now with this virus, looks like I'm not leaving till May. Huh. So I wasn't sure they were going to delay shipping for military, because it is mission essential if you think about it. You joining the military on time keeps their numbers going to where they're supposed to be, and that is mission essential. So that's interesting. I have not heard that they have delayed March already. So, is there a process for getting an age waiver? Is it difficult? We did a podcast on that. Jeff and I did. If you go through my podcast, whether it's go through all the YouTube videos that I did or search age waiver video, tactical fitness report, you'll see what we did on age waivers. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it common? No. You pretty much have to walk on water to get an age waiver, know somebody, and impress the recruiter enough for him or her to walk your age waiver up the chain of command, because those age waivers go really high up the chain of command. In fact, they may even go all the way up to the CO of Buds before he allows someone who is over 29 to go to Buds. So they're not easy at all. Let's see. Yeah, prep and ROTC are both on lockdown. Also, Cornell. I have heard that. I've heard all that is on lockdown for the next couple of weeks. My college-age daughter is home. She had a spring break last week, and now her classes are canceled this week. And then she's got online classes for the next 2 weeks. She might do that here. Might do it at her dorm, or not her dorm, but her apartment. So crazy. Everybody's, we got everybody who's usually here in the summer is here now training with us, which is a lot of fun. Seeing all the folks that we usually don't see until the summer because of their college or ROTC programs, academy programs. But yeah, we're still training. And the way we do it is we train at 6 a.m. outdoors. Sometimes I'll throw some weights in there, bring a barbell or sandbags, things like that, and pull-up bar and a place to run. That's all we're doing right now. But you know what? It fits our spring and summer cycle pretty well anyway, because we tend to get out of the heavy lifting activities of the fall and winter and start progressing with running, which takes more time. We start doing more calisthenics anyway. So if you ever wanted to get on a seasonal tactical fitness periodization cycle, this is perfect because in the spring and summer, that's all we do is calisthenics and run. Well, we swim too. So a lot. Um, Unless you're an Army guy, and then we just put a backpack on you and you skip the swim. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would consider it. In fact, this program right here, spring summer PT cycle, it's got a little bit of weights in it as a supplement program to it, but it's mostly calisthenics and running and swimming. Unfortunately, you're going to have to replace the swimming as well. Let's see. Canada's SF program doesn't specify the swim stroke they use for selection. Should I focus on CSS or do freestyle? Well, it depends. If you're good at freestyle, I would do that one. However, if they say, hey, you can't do freestyle, at training, you got to do something else like an underwater recovery stroke, I would try to learn both. I am probably faster at freestyle than I am combat swimmer stroke. So the other day I did a freestyle in like 7:30 for 500. Probably could have made it closer to 7 if I'd really pushed it. And I'm just under 8 on the CSS for 500. I have done sub 7 in the CSS 500 though, back in the day. That was 25 years ago. All right, let's see what else. One thing I'm focusing on during quarantine is improving my sleep. Great idea. If there's anything you can do while you're stuck in quarantine is sleep better. Highly recommend keeping some normal sleep patterns though, because that can throw you off a little bit. But getting a little extra sleep, never going to be a bad thing for you. Our number one recovery tool for training is sleep. Our second helping thing that we do is nutrition. Between sleep and nutrition, you probably get 80 to 90% of what you need in recovery right there. The other missing 10, 15% is all the extra goodies that people use. Foam rollers, stretching, yoga, meditation, car buffers, massage tools, mobility work, all of that kind of gets you that missing 10 or 15%. Great idea. I was curious if you have any sleep routines you like to implement adequate amounts of sleep. If you can get 8 hours, that is plenty. That's not going to mess up your rhythms too much. If you really want to get in a good rhythm, try to get some sunlight first thing in the morning between 8 and noon. Whether you're walking around, working out outside, whatever, just get some sunlight. That can help you set your rhythms for a full cycle and get you back into it in the evening to a more restful mode. It is helpful to do some physical activity to help you sleep. We are very physical animals, so we need to sleep. But we also need to train or need to move and do stuff in order to sleep better. So that all together will really help you get a good amount of sleep. All right. Someone with the worst flat feet ever seen. Words of a podiatrist. That must be pretty flat. Dang. How should I balance long runs with longevity and staying healthy so I can operate for 20 plus? That's a tough one. I don't really know, but I have known many people with flat feet get through buds, get through ranger school, get through SF, so it is very doable. They do have, certain recommendations for people with flat feet by the way they, move their feet, whether they pronate or overpronate or supinate, whatever that is that flat feet tend to do. There are some orthotics that may be helpful that you can put into your shoes. I would go there first, see how that works. But yeah, they will test you for flat feet. I don't know if they will kick you out for flat feet anymore. They used to back in like Vietnam era. But yeah, that's something I'm not fully familiar with on all that process. Let's see if we got some more questions on Instagram here. I have a 5 meter above ground pool. That's tiny. You think that would be use decent swimming? You know what? If that's all you got, use it. Um, I don't know. Swim in circles. 5 meters is not very far. You could kick off the wall and be on the other side before you even came up. You could practice kicking off the walls, maybe without collapsing your pool. If it's deep, you could practice treading. That's something that's useful. I always say 10 minutes of treading is worth 500 yards of swimming. So let's see. I'm going to join the Army as just wondering if your body gets used to working out early in the morning or does it always suck? Good question. I got used to it, but maybe I'm just a morning person. There people are different. Some people are morning people, some people aren't. We probably have two in my family that are morning people and two that are night owls. And it's actually really neat. I read a book recently on why we sleep, actually called Why We Sleep. And that's really if you think about, our evolutionary process, what that allows people to do is if you're a late sleeper or an early riser, someone's always awake to help the clan fight off whatever threat that is there, whether it's a natural predator or another human. Um, it makes for less of a lag time. So it's like everybody stand and watch, and it's like this: you're either a morning person or you're a night owl. So embrace whichever one you are, but if you're in the military, everybody works out early. You got to get used to it. You do get used to it, I will say. Does it get easier? No, you just get used to it. You have a couple of snacks that you would routinely eat during buds? Great question, Hayden. Yes, I used to grab honey packets from the chow hall and stuff them in my cargo pants. I would have apple slices and baby carrots that I would put in a Ziploc bag, keep in my cargo pocket or in my locker. So in between evolutions, you can go to your locker and change out, whether it's a swim or from a run or whatever. You can change out a little bit and just snack on stuff all day. I always had some calories coming in, and it was very helpful. So maybe have a couple bottles of water or some Gatorade or Pedialyte, especially if you're sweating profusely, you're going to need that extra salt. But those three things were my big ones. I personally can stomach apples and carrots very well. They tend to last a little longer, a lot of fiber. It's not like rush right through you, but the honey is like pure sugar. So if you need it quick, the honey is very helpful for that. More long term sustaining energy, with your fruits types. You can get bananas, put those in your locker too. That's what I would recommend. Get something that works for you, though. Don't get something that you're testing out for the first time. Last thing you ever want to do is test out something for the first time during a PST or a day at Buds. Make sure you've mastered it. Let's see. Took the colorblind test 4 times at MEPS and finally passed it. Good for you. Good luck. Keep passing it because you'll take it a couple more times. And it could be an issue. So just have your eyes well rested. I would recommend whenever you get to boot camp. Good luck with that one. Let's see. Question on an injury. I developed an issue with the pressing movement, push-ups, bench, dumbbell press. So anything pushing. It is isolated to the right front muscle, I think deltoid. Wondering how to speed recovery. My recommendation is lay off your push exercises for a little while. Ice it, take some anti-inflammatories. Hopefully, it's just a little bit inflamed in some of the tendons in there. Um, and a week off of pushing may help. If you can still add some pulling muscles without pain, that's a good sign. It means it hasn't inflamed so much that any movement of that area is causing pain. It's just isolated to those pushing um, tendons and muscles. So that's what I would do. See if pulling hurts. If that doesn't hurt, keep doing your pull, but just lay off your push for a little while. And massage, a lot of massaging there, icing it whenever you're not doing something. Don't overstretch it, unless you get it really warmed up and you can kind of stretch a little bit. But just let it rest. It's a good thing about being in quarantine and no gym. Fewer exercises to do. You just have to lay off your push. Let's see. Right now, doing Navy SEAL intermediate workout, and I was just wondering. I don't have access to a pool. You and everybody else, you might have missed my discussion earlier. By the way, if you miss any of this, if you showed up late on Instagram, I'm over here on YouTube as well, and I'll record this and save it forever. Whereas Instagram only stays up there a day. But yeah, if you don't have a pool, you're going to have to replace swimming with some other cardio activity, whether that means more running or some other non-impact activity. I would highly recommend that. So think of it this way: however many yards you're doing, every 500 yards you have to do for a swim workout, make that 10 minutes of extra cardio. There you covered. If you got a 2,000-yard swim workout, you owe 40 minutes of cardio somewhere. Let's see. Is there a way to train or simulate boats on heads? Yes. We do that with sandbags. So put a sandbag on your head, put your hands under it like this, and start moving. Just go. But yeah, you should be doing neck exercises, laying on your back, doing neck side to side, up and down, laying on your belly, doing the same thing, side to side, up and down. And that works your neck really well. So that's what I would do. Good calisthenic to do when you're in quarantine. What's the minimum amount of time you should spend on one program like hypertrophy or strength? It depends. Not everybody needs a 12-week program. Maybe you only need 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe you only need 8 weeks. Kind of depends on you. If you're seeing the results you like in a short amount of time, I will say this: hypertrophy is a little tough because you're probably trying to put on some mass. We typically start our hypertrophy program in November, and we just finished it in February. So what's that? 2, 3, 4 months. So that's a 16-week cycle. But it took 16 weeks for most people to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. I would say most of our guys that needed to gain weight are now 15 pounds heavier than when they started, because it is very difficult to gain more than a pound a week, period. I don't care what program you're on. So, all right. Let's see. I have a Navy diver contract, and now the pools are closed around Annapolis, Severn. Yeah, that's where I am. Go figure. Do you think it's a good idea to get a wetsuit and swim in the South River? It's pretty cold right now. I don't think it's necessary. Plus, that water's nasty. That's just my opinion. We haven't gotten to that level yet. I would say go to Ocean City, get a good swim workout in every now and then, maybe swim the beach. That would be fun. Be more realistic to what you would be doing in training down in Panama City. I don't know. Good question. I mean, there are people that are swimming in the rivers now, so you could find groups that do it with, so you're not by yourself. That's my only thing, is like, don't do it by yourself because it's potentially dangerous. Have somebody at least knowing what you're doing and watching you from land, because it doesn't take a whole lot to screw up out there, and no one can find you for a long period of time. But you should come join us. We work out in Severna Park, which is right down the street. 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, and we're doing some afternoon stuff too, just running in the afternoons at 1:30. So, okay, everybody seems to be asking about all the pools are closed, so I've answered that one already. If you have a more specific question about pools being closed, you can DM me. Yeah, Peloton bikes. I don't know. I have a regular stationary bike that does fine. If you need somebody yelling at you to pedal, pay the extra money, I guess. What's your quarantine diet like? Low carb. Yeah, I would recommend laying off the carbs. And when I say carbs, I mean sugar, crap food, fruits, vegetables, maybe even intermittent fasting if you're not moving. But if you're working out, you need to eat regularly anyway. So if you're trying to lose weight or maintain weight, don't eat too much. Right? You got to eat less, especially if you're not moving. Usually you can burn 800 calories a day, and that's a significant amount more food that you can eat in the day and not gain weight. However, if you're not burning that kind of calories every day, you're going to have to back it up and look at where your calories are coming in. You may have to reduce your portion sizes. That's my recommendation. Don't worry about skipping out on any particular food group or not eating for 12 hours. I tell people all the time I fast every day from about 10 p.m. to about 5 a.m. So I sleep and I don't eat. So that's about as much fasting as I do. But yeah, if you like low carbs, that's fine. Doing your 12 weeks to buds right now, and I'm on the swim week. Pool's closed for 2 weeks. Yes, that's you and everybody else. Seems like everybody's wanting to know about swimming. I may just write an article. In fact, I have written an article. In fact, if you go to Google, type in swimming replacement Stu Smith, you'll find an article on how to do that. So how's that? I'll put that in the description below too. Other than lunges and body weight squats, do you have any other good leg exercises for home? Yeah, you can do jumps. You can put a sandbag over your shoulder and put weight in your hands and do squats and lunges, overhead squats, chest carry sandbag, lunges, jumps, run up and down stairs, farmer walks up and down stairs, find a hill, carry stuff up a hill. There's a lot of stuff you can do for leg days. Frog hops, heel raises, jump overs. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of good leg exercises in here. It's like crazy leg PT workouts. Saw the shin splints questions, had them so bad I couldn't even stand up. Damn, that's bad. I've never seen that one. That's probably borderline stress fractures if they hurt that bad. Ended up just pushing through it, and after more regular running, haven't had them since. Woo! I don't know if that's a proven method universally for people to just push through their shin splints. Maybe it works. I don't know. Most people have to rest and not hurt themselves further. But yeah, they do heal. They do heal naturally. As long as you're putting some ice and heat on them after you run, you're going to speed up the blood flow down there. Another exercise you can do is balancing exercises where you just stand on one leg or you stand on some kind of balance beam type device, and you'll feel the shins just firing up just to help you stay vertical, standing in balance. And all those little balance muscles can help you force blood down there for speedy healing. So that also gets the shins stronger as well. Let's see. What else? What else we got here? Stu, with Bud's classes getting postponed, does that mean spots are going to be even more competitive once classes open back up? Probably. Or you're going to have a lot bigger classes. They don't typically like to have bigger classes just because it's hard to get that many people through the training. But they can have a couple hundred people start the class. So it may be more competitive just because there's a glut for, maybe 6 months in it. But, use that 6 months to train harder and be more prepared. If someone is sick with COVID-19 or flu, do you recommend staying active? If so, if safe to do so, or rest? I wrote an article a while back. If you're sick, how do you work out when you're sick? And it depends. If you have a head cold, not a big deal. Sinuses, nose, sore throat, nasal passages, runny nose, all that stuff. Probably want to avoid people just so you don't spread it. But as long as it's up here, it's okay. Once it gets down here, it's really hard to do anything physically because your lungs are congested. That means your heart's overworking. You're going to be anaerobic before you even start walking sometimes. So you got to shut it down when it gets to your chest. And unfortunately, that's what this virus does. It makes it a cough that can turn into a pneumonia and even cause permanent lung damage. So I'm trying to stay away from people as much as possible. Even though we're doing our 6 a.m. workouts, we're outside the whole time. And, we're not swapping spit or anything, obviously. Keep your hands clean. But you know what? It's funny because I used to, if you've ever shipped out from here and you had advice from me the day before you shipped out, I told you this. I said, go to boot camp, and every time you see a Purell, wash your hands. Wash your hands every time you go to the bathroom. Don't even touch your face all day long. Nothing. Just stay away from your face, right? Because here's what happens at boot camp is you get people from all over the United States coming into one building, living together, sharing all kinds of traveling germs that have been on airplanes and however you traveled there, right into one little unit, and everybody gets sick. If you can avoid being sick at boot camp, you've done yourself a big service, especially at the end of boot camp when you got to take your PST. Last thing you want to do is having been recovered from bronchitis or some kind of bacterial pneumonia or things like that, because that makes it really hard to perform. So you have to try to stay well. So it's the same advice I tell to people who go into boot camp is wash your hands, don't touch anything, don't touch your face. If you touch anything, just try to find a place to wash it. Don't put stuff in your mouth. But yeah, I give that advice every time someone ships. Let's see. Advice for starting to ruck. Great question. I actually wrote an article on that. If you Google Stu Smith rucking progression, running progression, you'll find it. Or even say, what is a ruck, Stu Smith? In Google, you'll find several articles on that. I do have some rucking progression articles for you. But the big thing is first build your running progression. If you've built yourself up to a running progression of say 20 miles a week, now you've been able to, handle that kind of progression for a while. And you're now ready to add weight. And then maybe once a week, you put on 25 to 30 pounds, progress through that, add 40 or add 10 to make it 40 and 50 and 60, build up over the course of a couple of months, maybe 10 pounds every couple of weeks. There'll be a time when you obviously need to cap it out. Roughly 50 to 60 pounds is typical. but then progress your mileage from there on and try to get up to 10, maybe 12 miles, especially if you're an Army guy going SF selection or Ranger school for sure. Um, let's see. A couple more questions. I've been at this for 45 minutes. I'll probably do this again tomorrow because, like I said, I got some extra time on my hands. Maybe you guys do too. So, I think EMT is rejecting me because of a police record. Oh, that sucks. See if you could ask for a waiver for more waiver. So sometimes those local EMT jobs are just so competitive. You might have 100 people going for 5 jobs. That's a tough one. You got anything that's in your record that prevents you, makes it harder. Maybe consider a different um, jurisdiction or a different locality. Oh, let's see. When you get knocked down, how do you get yourself back up physically and mentally? You know what? Just don't stop moving. It's my best advice. I have done an article on mental toughness and a couple of podcasts on mental toughness. In fact, recently a young man was doing a project on mental toughness and he sent me 12 questions or 10 questions. And I answered them all on video for him and made it a show like this. And it was really good. He put in a lot of effort to create some good questions, and I put a lot of effort answering them. But you should check those out. But basically, you just can't stop moving. Let's see. With Bud's classes getting postponed, I already answered that one. If I had one piece of advice for SF candidates, what would it be? I'm assuming you're talking about special forces in the Army candidates. My advice would be become a good runner and rucker. Now, to ruck well, you need to make sure that you are getting in your strength training as well, because load bearing requires some strong back, butt, and legs. That if you are just a runner, it can be rather challenging. So, especially when you start getting up into weight that is almost half your body weight, that gets really tough. So, be durable on the runs and rucks. All right. So, last question. Here's a good question. When you were going through buds, did you ever have that voice say that you should quit? Because my brother is a SEAL and he says he didn't have that. You know what? Funny you should ask that question, because every SEAL I talked to never had that thought in their head. In fact, I did a mental toughness article and I interviewed as many SEALs as I could, and other special forces guys that didn't quit, and it was not even part of their vocabulary. In fact, check that out. You might like that one. Maybe I can't remember why people fail special ops, or a couple other things. But anyway, the biggest common denominator was most of them were thinking about winning something or doing well in something, competing with themselves to be better the next event. So whether that was a 4 mile timed run, could they be in the top 10% of the class? So they challenged themselves to perform that versus being in the bottom 25% in performance and barely passing and just trying to survive. Sometimes that mentality of just surviving isn't enough. You need to be in that competitive mode, especially when you're in a program that has a high attrition rate. If you think about it, statistically speaking, if you're not in the top 25% of a buds class, what can happen is you won't be in the 25% of the people who graduate that buds class. Now, you don't have to be a physical stud and pass everything in the top 25%. You just need to pass it and endure everything else. But typically speaking, you definitely need to be in that top 25% of performance. So compete, train to compete versus training to barely survive on the minimum standards. That's been something I've been preaching for years. So, but yes, it's not part of the vocabulary. My biggest concern when I was going through buds was I prayed I did not get injured. That was it, and not get sick, because that could screw you up. So, all right. I think I'm gonna shut it down. It's been 50 minutes. If you have questions that I did not get to, and I see a whole bunch of them that I did not get to, please do one of two things. You can just go to the comment section of this YouTube and just ask it, or you can DM me on Instagram. However, if you have a request for a longer answer, I'm much better typing at thumbing. So email me. My email address will be in the description below, but it's real easy. stu@stewsmith.com. If you email me, I'll answer you. So, all right, that's it. I hope you guys are staying busy, getting after it. If you guys have any questions with anything, let me know. Happy to help. We will chat with you later.